So we have a major development in the Citi bike Karen story. The 5 young men who were allegedly trying to steal this woman's bike have come forward with receipts of their own and their own description of what happened that day. So let's review what they're saying happened and see if it conforms with reality. So for those of you who don't know the story, here's a quick recitation of the facts. On May 12th, 2023, bike number 5603915 was rented by this man. This man says he picked up the bike at 6:33 p.m. and he docked it at 7:19 p.m. Now from 7:19 p.m. to 7:24 p.m. the bike was parked and available for anybody to use. We now know that this hospital employee rents the bike at 7:24 p.m. right outside the hospital. She's just finished a 12-hour shift and she's 6 months pregnant. She goes to the docking station and unlocks this same bike. Here's how it works.
You can either scan the QR code found at the handlebar of a bike, or you can manually input the ID of the bike, which is located near the bike chain. Doing this will unlock the bike and you can take it for a ride. To end your ride, simply find an open dock at any station, ideally one near your destination. Dock your bike and make sure to wait for the green light and the sound of a click indicating that the bike is locked. To be super sure, you can try and pull the bike out to make sure it's secured.
So the hospital worker rented the bike and removed it to take it home. That's why you see the light on the bike pink to show that the bike is now rented. Now, this man who rented the bike 5 minutes earlier claims that the bike is on his account, even though he's docked it. Now, it can't be on his account because the hospital worker has provided receipts showing that she rented the bike at 7:24. So this man then rescans the bike after he forcibly pushes it back and docks it again, removing it from this woman's account. And then he scans the bike at 7:25, putting it back on his account. The bike is then docked again at about 7:31 at the same location. He actually doesn't ride the bike anywhere. Now, these are the stone cold facts based on the receipts and evidence that have been provided by both parties. And the video that was taken begins at 7:24 p.m. when the hospital worker was renting the bike. So the bike is actually on her account. Now, last but not least, there were a number of bikes on the bike rack, so this wasn't the only bike there. So now let's review their account of what happened during this day.
The only reason why Sarah Jane Comrie was able to produce this receipt for this bicycle is because she jumped over this young man standing right here who had his hands on the handlebars, jumped over him, impales herself on his bike, and scans the QR code to begin the ride.
So let me put this in context for you guys. A woman who has just finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital, who is 6 months pregnant and alone, goes to the Citi bike rack that has multiple bikes on it. This is not the only bike that she has. It has multiple bikes on it. And instead of choosing a bike that's free and clear, that's open, she goes directly to this guy's bike, the one that he's actually sitting on with 4 of his friends around. And she pushes her way onto his bike, scans it, and tries to steal that one particular bike from this guy rather than take a free bike. That's what they want us to believe. Now, this is our first question. Does that sound reasonable? Does that sound reasonable?
How did all of this happen, and how do I know what happened? Because that young man is my little brother. Bike number 5603915 was in my brother's possession from St. Nicholas Ave, Manhattan Ave, all the way to First Ave and East 30th Street from the hours of 6:33 p.m. to 7:19 p.m.
So listen to the words that she specifically used. She said the bike was in her brother's possession from 6:33 p.m. to 7:19 p.m. So after 7:19, the bike was not in her brother's possession, but hopefully she'll expound upon that.
At 7:19 p.m., they dock the bikes. Sarah Jane Comrie walks up to them, asks, "Hey guys, can I use one of you guys' bikes?" She says this as there are other bikes sitting idle at the bike rack.
Now, this makes absolutely no sense. There are other bikes at the bike rack, essentially identical bikes. The hospital worker actually rode another bike home. So we are to believe that she walks past all those empty bikes and directly to them and says, "Hey, I want to use your bike instead of one of the empty bikes." Again, does that sound reasonable to you people? Really, does that sound reasonable?
They politely decline. She asks them again, mentions that she's pregnant, and they still decline.
So she's begging them to take one of their bikes, even though there are multiple bikes, identical bikes, that she can take. Does this sound credible to you? It sounds like she's full of shit. This sounds like a lie. This makes no sense in reality. Why would this woman coming from a 12-hour shift, 6 months pregnant, walk past a whole bunch of empty bikes that no one is using and go to the one bike that 5 guys are surrounding and want to use that bike? Make it make sense, people.
Politely declined. She asked them again, mentioned that she's pregnant, and they still declined. Then, with my brother standing next to the bike with his hands on the handlebars, she jumps onto the bike, sits on the bike, and scans the QR code, thus beginning her ride. Mind you, the bike was in my brother's possession at this time. So this screenshot is from 6 minutes after the previous ride ended. As you can see, 7:25 p.m. Previous ride ended 7:19 p.m. These gentlemen, these boys, did not steal this bike from Sarah Jane Comrie.
Okay, let me understand. Make it make sense, people. They docked the bike at 7:19, and now it's available for anyone to use. Anyone can use that bike. The hospital worker goes and uses the bike. And then they come back and say, no, it's still our bike. Even though we've docked it, even though it's available for anybody, it's still our bike. That's not the way it works. And then they seemingly try to take it from her because, again, she scanned the bike. She's undocked the bike. She has possession of the bike. They've admitted it couldn't have been in the brother's possession because it's in her possession. So you know what this sounds like? It sounds like they're trying to run another scam on us. They're trying to scam us to believe that the brother always had possession of the bike, even though their receipt says otherwise. Their receipts, again, this is their receipts. Their receipt says he did not have the bike. He gave it up.
Video started being recorded at 7:24 p.m., close to 7:25.
If the video's recorded at 7:24 p.m., what do we know? We know at 7:24 p.m., she had rented the bike. The bike was legally hers. And if someone tries to take the bike that she's legally rented, that means they are doing what? What are they doing if they're trying to take the property that you are entitled to because you are rented? You know who I'm going to let answer that question? Dr. Richard Ritchie. I'm going to let him answer the question of what happens if young men go up to this white woman and try to take the bike that she's obviously rented.
Which is theft under any other circumstance. We will call this attempted theft if the black male went up to the white female who paid for her opportunity to utilize the device and he decided to grab it and try to take it. We will call that clearly attempted theft.
So before we break down the rest of this video, here's a quick word from our video sponsor. Now here on my channel, we focus in on how the media is not reporting certain stories factually. For instance, we talked about Breonna Taylor, the U.S. women's soccer team, and even recently the NYC City Bike Karen story. Now with so many news sources out there, it's hard to figure out which sources are actually good and which sources are bad. That's why I personally use Ground News. Now with Ground News, for every story that you get a quick visual breakdown of the news outlets covering it and their political biases, which I think is extremely important. Another important feature they give you is how factual the source is, which entity owns the source, and which countries are covering the story. Now, Ground News also allows you to compare headlines. You can sort them by things like factuality, location, and biases. You can follow specific topics like Jordan Neely, Bud Light, Trump, Meghan Markle, etc. I really like what's known as the blind spot page. It shows you articles that are underreported and overreported by a source, mainly from a specific political affiliation, making it a blind spot for the opposite side. So, you know, when you watch Fox News, they only cover certain stories, and watch CNN, they only cover certain stories. It allows you to see, well, who's covering what stories and who's not covering certain stories. Now, if you're interested in understanding the biases of the media, go to ground.news/Nate to stay fully informed on breaking news, compare coverage, and avoid the media bias. Sign up for free or subscribe for unlimited access if you want to support the mission and find it as useful as I do. Now, you can also download the app from the App Store or Google Play Store. And last but not least, there's also a Chrome extension. So when you're looking for stories, you can instantly see what the political biases of the stories are. Now, if you like what you hear, don't forget, click on the link in the description for ground.news/Nate to stay fully informed.
My brother's ride that was in the previous screenshot starts at 7:25. The initial ride where my brother rode the bike all the way over to this bike dock ended at 7:19 p.m. There were a number of bikes at the bike rack already there when she arrived. She still proceeded to try to take the bike from my brother. Help, help, help. Trying to make it seem like these boys stole this bike from her. The bike is on my brother's account.
No, it is not. It was not on your brother's account. It is on her account. She has provided receipts. You provided receipts that your brother had the bike before. You've provided receipts to show your brother had it after. But at the time that this altercation happened at 7:24, the person who legally had possession of the bike, who rented the bike, was this woman. So your brother trying to take the bike, as you've admitted, trying to take the bike from this woman, was essentially trying to take her property. That's what you're saying.
Told you I'd seen receipts.
Here is their professional spin doctor, and watch him spin this story like a top.
But let's go ahead and review some things. First and foremost, I would like to reiterate that for myself and many others that initially posted about this, we weren't talking about a stolen bike. We didn't care about a stolen bike. It was her behavior. It only became about a stolen bike after she released receipts and made claims that they were trying to steal her bike.
Well, let's go over the facts again. At 7:24, she had rented the bike, so the bike is technically hers. And what happens if someone tries to take someone's bike that they've rented? What do we call that? Dr. Ritchie, tell us again.
Which is theft under any other circumstance. We will call this attempted theft if the black male went up to the white female who paid for her opportunity to utilize the device, and he decided to grab it and try to take it. We will call that clearly attempted theft.
Remember, her attorney said after a 12-hour shift, she got on an available bike which no individuals were touching and paid for it through the app. As she backed it up from the docking station, a group of 5 people approached her and claimed the bike was theirs. One or more of the individuals in the group physically pushed her bike with her on it back into the docking station, causing it to relock. That's her story. And his story directly contradicts hers.
We can actually check this part of the story. We can see who's telling the truth. This is fantastic. This clown has allowed us to verify who's telling the truth. You know how? Check this out. Now we can see from the video that at 7:24, when she had the bike and she had rented the bike, this light comes on showing that the bike is active. The bike is rented. And then we see him pushing the bike back into the dock. And then the light turns off, showing that the bike is reset. So exactly what she said happened. She rented the bike, and he comes and pushes the bike back into the dock to reset it. That's what she said. So if he says something that contradicts the video, then guess what? He's lying. This guy has proved that this guy is lying. Honesty. Thank God for the videotape.
And the receipts he provided go along with his account of what happened. And they prove it no more or no less than her receipts do. And I know there's going to be people who are like, yeah, but it was docked. That proves that it was available and she scanned it. He rode it a considerable distance to get there. He was still with it. He needed it to get back to where he had come from.
He absolutely didn't need the bike to get back to where he came from. You know how we know that? Because when he rented the bike again, he didn't take it anywhere. He left it there. He left the bike at that same spot. You know how? It's the receipts that you idiots provided to us. Look at the receipts yourself. Here, at the bottom, your trip, 7:25 p.m., 1st Avenue and East 30th Street. The trip ends 1st Avenue, 30th Street. It didn't go anywhere. So he's straight up lying. But you know what? There's going to be idiots out there that believe this guy. This guy has 500,000 followers on Twitter. It's obvious they're lying. His receipt, the receipt that they're bringing, shows that he's freaking lying. It's insane.
And it's reasonable to believe that he believed it was still on his account, especially since there were other bikes available that she could have taken.
No, you idiot. It's not reasonable. It can't be reasonable. Why? Because the sister in your own video just said he docked the bike at 7:19 p.m. He knew the bike wasn't on his account. It was docked. So he absolutely knew that the bike was available for someone else. Why lie about this? She literally just said that. Listen to it again.
Bike number 5603915 was in my brother's possession from St. Nicholas Avenue, Manhattan Ave, all the way to 1st Avenue, East 30th Street from the hours of 6:33 p.m. to 7:19 p.m. At 7:19 p.m., they docked the bikes.
So now, as someone who rides city bikes all the time, he absolutely knows when you dock the bike, it's not on your account. So this guy, I don't know what, maybe they're paying this guy. Why is he just straight up lying from stuff that he's literally contradicting what she's saying? He's at the point where he has to lie so incessantly, he's contradicting her in the same 4-minute video. This is insane. Now we're at the end of the video. And let's just understand what we know to be facts. We know this woman at 724 rented this bike. And this young man forcibly tried to take that bike from her. Eventually, he forcibly forced the bike back into the docking station and the bike reset. Then we also know that he then scanned the bike and so it could be on his account. And then she went and took out another bike. And what we also know, based on the facts, is that he didn't even ride the bike anywhere. He left the bike there. So, in conclusion, this young man denied a pregnant woman this bike, not because he was using it, just to deny her the use of the bike. And what did he do with the bike? Did he need to go home? Did he need to go somewhere? He actually just left the bike right there at the docking station. And you know who shows us that that's what he did? His own receipts. Let me know where I'm wrong in the comment section. My name is Nate the Lawyer, and I'll see you next time. Peace.